Honey, wake up. New Volsky video dropped. If you're seeing this, it's because I got permission from Volsky to post it. I keep getting recommended this video in my feed because I've been watching his videos and we've been chatting on Twitch. When I'm streaming, he usually comes in and hangs out for a little bit before doing his own thing and chatting a little bit and dropping some dank memes and all that sort of thing. And I started feeling a little bit bad with all this discourse about reaction stealing content or whatever. So I'm gonna record this just so that it's done, because I'm gonna watch this video. All right, I need to watch this video. It's about Jill. Volsky did it, and I'm gonna have to record it or whatever just for posterity's sake. And when he gives me permission, that's when you're seeing this. So thank you, Volsky, in advance. Let's get to it though, because I'm surely gonna have some opinions here. Every actress to play Jill Valentine ranked from worst to best. Oh boy, let's do it.
Jill Val, the stars gal. Jill Valentine is one of the oldest and most popular Resident Evil characters. Having been around since the very first game,
that's one of my favorites, honestly. Like, Inez or whatever they call her, she has like the worst lines. She has the worst delivery. She was, what was it, like 15 or 16 when they shot this? Like, she was very underage. But there is, I mean, it's the Jill I fell in love with when I was a kid because it was the first one or whatever. She was the first one. So she's always been my favorite in that way, in like the nostalgia glasses. But I don't know. I still think even to this day, a lot of my sound alerts are from her or whatever. It's just so corny. The voice lines. Oh, they're so poorly done too. It's just, oh, it's just so beautiful.
Been around since the very first game, there have been many different portrayals of a character. So today I wanted to rank every single actress to play Jill Valentine, ranked from worst to best.
Let's do it.
Hey, you snooze, you lose.
So I understand. I get it. I actually think that Hannah's energy that she brings to it is really fun. But she got let down by... She is so let down by the script and what this thing was. I think she could do like a really good Jill and something else, but I get it. Also, this scene in particular, it makes me cringe every time.
What?
It's Jill sandwich now.
There it
If
is.
you saw my Leon ranking video, you probably saw this coming. But this is the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City Jill, played by Hannah John Kamen. This is the lowest version because it's just not Jill Valentine. But it's not the actress's fault at all. I don't know
Right.
what the creators of this movie were smoking while writing the characters, but none of the characters in this movie are like the characters they're based off. Jill in this movie...
I kind of like that though, don't you? Like, I kind of like that it's a different interpretation. I agree that this Jill is wrong in like a lot of tone or something, but I kind of like the fun tone she brought to it. I just wish it was like in a more cohesive thing or something. Like, it just felt off. So I agree with you, but yeah, this movie was kind of like almost interesting too, though. The way that they handled Wesker and like just all of the characters was kind of cool in like a CW teen drama sort of way, which I want to almost throw up saying, but like, yeah, I don't know. We agree.
This movie is more like a crazy gun fanatic, instead of the calm and focused member of STARS we know from the games. I think I'd like her better if she wasn't called Jill Valentine.
What is it?
Fair.
Watch out! It's a monster!
Let me take care of this.
This is pretty low.
Next we had the version from the very first Resident Evil game, played by Una Kavanagh. Like every other actor in this game, this is a very goofy, cheesy performance.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
But it just adds to the charm of the first game.
Yeah,
It's not the most
it's so
emotional
good.
performance you've ever seen, but it's really, really entertaining. But she deserves to be praised for helping put Resident Evil on the map and making it one of the most memorable and quotable horror games ever made.
Valentine!
They're infected.
Somebody!
I told you, she could have had.
Please, somebody!
So I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't particularly like Sienna Guillory, and like, I don't think I even know other stuff she's been in. But as soon as she donned the the Jill Valentine thing, just instantly in love. I think she's fantastic in this movie. Again, it's really the fault of where the movies go or whatever with it that I think she's bad. But in this movie in particular, I think she's great. Except they made her a smoker, which at the time I was also a smoker. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, Jill and I just having smokes at night or something together. But like now I'm just like, that just seems weird. It seems like a weird thing to do. This scene is so good,
Resident Evil movies, played by Sienna Gallery. This is actually pretty good compared to the other game characters in these movies. The actress really cared about bringing Jill Valentine to the big screen. When I look at this woman, I see Jill Valentine, not someone trying to cosplay Jill Valentine. Like the way she walks around and the way she holds her gun, just reminds me of the Master of Unlocking herself. But you can tell by where she is on this list that it's not perfect. But she did the best she could with what she had.
Arguably though, you're gonna talk about Michelle. Michelle has some really good like voice lines and stuff. I think Sienna is better Jill, but it comes with a caveat that like she's not part of the games, and this is a game series first, and the movies came after, and the movies are kind of bad, which is unfortunate because if the movies were first or came out around the same time and Sienna was in it, I think this conversation would have been more tilted to her direction. But just the fact that she's like not in the games, I kind of understand why she's not high up at all. It's unfortunate.
Where are you, Chris?
Next we got Resident Evil Revelations Jill, played by Michelle Ruff. Revelations 1 is a very plot-focused game, so there isn't really much emotional character work. Most of the dialogue in this game is explaining what's happening or what's about to happen. This performance isn't bad at all, it's just a little bit forgettable. And it's the only version I had to refresh myself on while making this video.
No!
Okay, next we got Jill in Resident Evil 5, played by Patricia Jarlee. This is when Jill turned into Black Widow. This version is a little weird. They tried to make her like this twist surprise villain, and because of that she's barely in the game. She only has like a couple of lines in the main story.
The worst thing about this version of Jill is that this is also the one that came into Marvel vs. Capcom. This is the one for a while. The catsuit Jill thing is fucking terrible. Blonde Jill is terrible. This stupid thing on her chest is just weirdly over-sexualized for no reason. Everything about this Jill is fucking terrible, which is unfortunate because Jarlee is actually pretty good. She's done Jill in some other stuff that, like, I think she's in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 as well, right? Like before this or whatever. So, like, I think her voice is good. I just think the way they used her in 5 is fucking terrible, and because of that, it's like one of the lower rank for me. I absolutely hate it.
She does get to be Jill in the Lost in Nightmares DLC.
That's true. Lost in Nightmares, it's okay, but Lost in Nightmares almost feels like its own game. It's weird. Like, if you know, you know. If you've played them, you know, but that Lost in Nightmares is definitely, I think, more Resident Evil than 5 is in a lot of ways.
And she's pretty good there, but it's just not enough for me to call her the best Jill Valentine.
Yeah. Nicole being at 3, huh? Okay, I know who your number 1 and 2 are then. Okay. I thought maybe Nicole would have been your top. I think Nicole is extremely good, and I'm really happy that she's the new voice and attitude and stuff for Jill. I'm a big fan of her. But I know who your top 2 are, and I mean, you're correct. But yeah, let's go.
Bitch can't even swim.
I love that line.
This version was way lower when I was first writing this video. I thought the acting was good, but the writing was nothing like Jill Valentine, and that Nicole Tompkins wasn't the right choice for Jill Valentine. And then I saw Resident Evil Death Island, in my opinion.
Interesting. So the movie changed your opinion on it because maybe they fleshed her back, like her character out a little bit more or something, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that's where you're going to go with this, where like the fact that she's kind of like PTSD ridden and just a mess or whatever kind of makes sense, especially with how 3 Remake is. Yeah, Okay. It's interesting that it took the movie kind of put her in your good books, because I thought with 3 remakes, she's kind of one of the few things that was like good about that thing. That like that game is fine in a lot of ways, but I was a big fan of them taking Jill and making her just so sick of it. Just so sick of it. So I'm glad that something brought you over to the light side on this one.
Completely changed. I think her version works perfectly as a post-Resident Evil 5 Jill Valentine. She's very angry and tired, which felt weird in Resident
Tired,
Evil
yeah.
but in Death
True.
Island, it felt like it fit the character perfectly after all she's been through. This is a perfect case of the right casting at the wrong time. And I urge you, if you hate the Jill Valentine in Resident Evil 3 remake and haven't seen Death Island, I think you should 100% give it a watch.
You want stars?
Oh, Catherine Disher is one of the best.
My first and second place have swapped like 100 times while making this video.
Yeah.
This was really difficult, but I decided my second place is Catherine Disher, who plays Jill in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. This is easily the best performance in the original trilogy in my opinion.
Yeah.
I love how determined this version is. She's faced with basically impossible odds, being constantly stalked by the tyrant known as Nemesis, but she comes out on top looking like an absolute badass while doing it. Jill is one of my favorite video game characters of all time, and a lot of that is because of this portrayal of her character.
That's fair. Yeah, we'll talk about her in a second. This Jill is like unfair in a lot of ways, but Catherine Disher's lines in that make her such a badass. Like when you first meet Carlos and he's like, I'm part of stars or whatever, and she's like, stars are the ones that caused us, those liars or whatever she says. Just like, yeah, I just love that she doesn't trust Carlos at all. She's kind of just like rude in a lot of ways, and she's just so sick of this shit. Like she's obviously, I mean, she's trying to survive again, right? And the way that worked with them having the mansion incident and her trying to, them, I guess, all trying to explain to Chief Irons about what's going on, and nobody listened to her or whatever. And yeah, Catherine Disher is very, very good.
Start talking.
Calm down. I didn't want to do it. Believe me, I can explain.
Don't lie
Barry.
to me.
And at first place we have Resident Evil 1 Remake Jill. Played by Heidi Anderson, she improves everything about the original performance. She absolutely nailed how someone would act in this situation. She is terrified, but she would still do whatever she can to get everyone out alive. A lot of the credit also goes to the face animators. The fact that you can see every little emotion on Jill's face really helps the performance. And the fact that the goofy edge isn't 100% gone. When I think about Jill Valentine, this is the voice I hear. But that's my list.
Yeah, it's also unfair because Julia Voth is kind of like, has in a lot of ways become the look for Jill in everything for a long time. There was a point where Jill was like, they were kind of switching her up, and she didn't necessarily have like a solid look for a while, which is why she looks a little bit different in 3 than she did in 1. Like, not too bad, but also a little, well, it's hard to talk about Marvel vs. Capcom because she's more anime or whatever. And then she kind of had like, Julia Voth came in, and from 2002 up until Revelations, and even with Revelations a little bit, they like based that off of her. She was Jill Valentine, so, and that they started releasing a lot more Resident Evil stuff, so she became kind of like the quintessential look for Jill. And Julia Voth herself cosplayed as Jill and did like photos and stuff like that. It would go to cons or whatever. Like, she really loved that stuff too, so she was kind of like a mouthpiece for the series as well. So it's really unfair, but like Heidi's voice and her voice lines and everything about that is very, very good. But it's also paired with what you expect, like the mascot you think of Jill or whatever, until we come to now where the Nicole Tompkins and I can't remember the new model's name. She's like Bulgarian or something. I can't remember her name, unfortunately, but like she's now the new face of Jill, and she's gonna have that same thing where people from this generation going forward will probably like think of her face when they think of Jill Valentine going forward, and if they change it again, it'll start anew. Anyways, Julia Voth, Heidi, is to me Jill Valentine, and to a lot of people from like our older generation or whatever. So I think for a lot of people it's just super unfair, but like it's well deserved. She's number one for a reason.
The fact that the goofy edge isn't 100% gone. When I think about Jill Valentine, this is the voice I hear. But that's my list. If you disagree, I'd love to see your ranking in the comment section below. And I'd like to announce, on October 6th of this year, I'll be doing a Resident Evil binge stream, where I'll be playing Resident Evil 1 Remake along with a few other games. So I hope to see some of you over there. But with that being said, that's the end of my video. If you
Cool.
enjoyed it, drop a like, and I'll see you all in a minute. Jill.
Oh my god. Okay, I accidentally started it up again. All right, awesome video. I did do a ranking of Jill on my channel as well, so that is there. But if you're watching this and you don't know Volsky, go ahead and in the description I put the link to this video and his channel. Give him a follow, especially if you're into Resident Evil stuff. Really cool dude. He's been hanging out here and there and just memeing a whole bunch, and we've been chatting or whatever. But yeah, cool list. And I guess that's about it. See ya.